Hi guys, this is your lesson for what to do once you are finished creating the introductory paragraph and are ready to move on to the body paragraphs, okay? So if you take a look at what is in red, this is my thesis from before. I'm on slide 20 right now, but if you wanted to go back to the color-coded slide, it's slide 13. So I've got my thesis. Through his use of imperative syntax and hyperbolic dreamlike visual imagery, Sukrukong effectively separates a mother's fantasies of grandchildren from a young adult's own wishes. Okay, so I'm going to take my thesis and I'm going to separate it out. I'm going to have a section that's going to be about imperative syntax. And then for imagery, I actually think I'm going to split it into two because I see two things, right? Hyperbolic, exaggeration, and then I also see dreamlike, surreal. So to me, those are two different enough things that like one could be one paragraph and one could be another paragraph. So you're going to create 1 to 2 assertions for each part of the titles in your thesis statement. You should aim to ultimately have 3 to 4 assertions. I think people kind of don't like this because it's not neat and clean. Like this one goes to 1, this one goes to 1. Sometimes it can be 1, sometimes it can be 2. It really depends on how many different things you have to say. Some of you guys who picked something like details, I bet you've got different types of details, and that would be the right kind of thing to separate out. Okay, so imperative syntax is the first thing I'm going to focus on. Some sentences that go back to this. He uses imperative sentences to create a list of instructions for the reader. Could be one thing to talk about. He uses short, simple sentences to make sure these instructions are accessible to anyone in order to emphasize the universality of the issue. So even though imperative syntax was actually just one thing that I said for syntax, I ended up finding a way to turn it into 2 things. So you'll really kind of feel it out and see how much you need. If one thing is shorter, you might need to make something else longer. Okay, so let me go forward with my slideshow. So now that I know one of them is going to be about imperative syntax, and the assertion I came up with was Sukrukong uses imperative sentences to create a list of instructions for the reader. I want evidence of that. So I looked back through my poem and I looked for instructions. I found, tell her the rain is falling. Better yet, tell her about the work crying in your briefcase. And then I also saw that he tells the reader what not to do. Don't enter conversations about generations. Maybe I would even mention the title of the poem. This is more evidence than you need. Really, all you need is one example for each thing. More is better, but if there's one really good one that you can speak to, one is probably fine. Don't let every single thing you talk about only have one example. I would see if you only find one for syntax, maybe find 2 for details. But yeah, how many is too many? I have a slide that goes over that later on. Okay, then when you're quoting your poem or your song, here's just a technical thing. You use this slash in between lines. So as you can see, there's a line break here, and then there's a slash here. Same goes for a song. The line breaks are indicated by a slash. Okay, here is how you incorporate your evidence into a body paragraph. So this is kind of like what you did for your research paper in that you give the quote, you cite it, what lines it came from, and then you kind of give the analysis of how this quote really helps. I'll let you pause the video to read how I did this here. Starting with my assertion, giving a little bit more background, and then, not quote bombing. So-and-so writes or so-and-so sings. You do it in present tense, and then you give the quote. This is slide 25 if you want to go back to it in our slideshow. All right, So you're going to do that for the other body paragraphs. Ultimately, you are going to have between, I would say, like 3 and 4 body paragraphs. That's why it says repeat 2 to 3 times. Once you have taken your assertions, found the evidence, and organized that into body paragraphs, you are going to zoom out for the conclusion and address your overall argument. After your reader has followed your evidence, sorry, I was just making sure I was still recording. After your reader has followed your evidence in the body paragraphs, she should arrive at a destination that's slightly different than where she was before reading your paper. Give one final overview of the text's strengths and weaknesses and reinforce why you believe the text proves effective or ineffective. You picked it, so you probably think it's effective. You can read what I did in my example. For all of these, also, you can read the student example. On an earlier slide, we've got links to student examples. Sorry, I'll go earlier so that you can see that. Right here, slide 15, it's a really cool paper about a Kendrick Lamar song, so you can read that, and you can also look at the rubric and the directions. Remember that what you're turning in shortly is actually just going to be the rough draft to get feedback from me. So if you're still feeling like a little unsure of yourself, that's really okay. Okay. How many quotes do you need per paragraph? Definitely not more than 5. That would be too many. I would say at least 1. It's great when you can find multiple examples, but you can't always just make your commentary a little longer and really focus on that one golden example. And don't forget to give line numbers. Other reminders, you talk about their last name when you're talking about them. So in this example, I'm talking about Miley Cyrus and talk about Cyrus. If they have a stage name, but their real name is also well known, just talk about them like they're a real person with their real name. If they go by like one stage name, Beyonce or something, I think it's probably okay to just say Beyonce. All right, so your draft is going to have an intro. Then it's going to have the 3 to 4 body paragraphs from those assertions we came up with, and a conclusion. So your draft is going to be probably between like 5 and 6 long paragraphs. That should ultimately be 3 to 4 double-spaced pages. This says that Friday is when the rough draft is due. I moved that back to Monday. I moved it back for my B-Day students, but I also moved it back for you. All right, and there are those resources again. All right, I'm sorry that I can't be there. Hopefully this informative video was informative and helped you. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to be available. My son is sick, so I'm not sure how much I'll be available, but I will try. Just do your best, and I'm excited to read these. All right, thank you guys, and have a good day. Bye.